life situations, is to use the illustration of the season. Number one, you cannot change the season until you get your own planet. All of this has been set in motion. But here's the next piece of information. You can change yourself. You can't change the season. You can change it. Life and business is like the changing season. Frank Sinatra saying, life is life. First, learn how to survive the winter. Speaking of life in its simplest aspect, first key to learn in your life on this spinning planet is learn how to survive. Now, there's all kinds of winters. The winter of the calendar, right? The winter of the actual season. But then there's financial winters and social winters, personal winters. But we understand those because we've all been through it. Right? Here's the key on the winters. Some are long and some are short. Some are easy and some are tough. But they always come right after harvest, right after fall, autumn. So we cannot rearrange the coming of the winter. But here's what we could do. Get stronger, wiser, and better so that we can survive better. And our life will be less eroded by learning to handle the next winter. The next winter of a divorce, the next winter of an illness, the next winter of a death in the family, the next winter of a loss financially, the next winter of a crisis, whatever comes, to be better equipped. So here's the key, to learn the seasons so that you can approach it all in a very intelligent way. So you must think negative when it's positive. You must think winter when it's... Here's some of the best advice. It comes from classic tradition. A great story says, don't build your house on the sand in the summer. Why be given that advice? Because it's easy to get faked out in the summer. You must not be faked out when it's nice. You must think storm in the summer and not get faked out. And if you think storm, now you'll look for a rock on which to build your house. Now you're going to be safe. So you can't think nice when it's nice. You got to think storm when it's seasons are going to come and change. And if you're not educated to that degree, now you suffer a great loss. Now here's the next philosophy. Time to think positive is when it's negative. Why? Because the negative won't last long. How long is the winter? Isn't that long? Just hang on. I'm not going to take that. How long is the night? It's only a few hours. There's never been a double night. Couldn't you make it a few more hours? And the story says, yes, the night just can't last. Sometimes it seems like it's going to last forever. And when you have insomnia, right, it seems like the night will never pass. But I'm telling you, sure enough, it will pass. So learn to think day when it's night. And then you must learn to think night when it's day. So you had to get it going, get it in before the night.
And the key word there is words, a moment in time. I remember I saw a movie one time, I don't remember which one it was, but it had this phrase in it where the person says, all you need is 5 seconds of courage and you can change your whole life. It's true, right? You can change your whole life in a moment of decision. If you just get yourself in a courageous state, that doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means you're afraid, but you do it anyway, right? So the bottom line is a breakthrough is that moment in time. So now my question is, what is the trigger for a breakthrough? Raise your hand if you have an area of your life in the past where you struggled. You were frustrated, you wanted to lose weight, you didn't do it, or stop smoking, you didn't do it, or a relationship thing, or a business thing, and you were mad at yourself because you kept saying you're going to do it and didn't follow through. Who's ever done this before? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Awesome. So raise your hand and say, if there's an area you struggle with over and over again until one day, finally you went, no more. Because I want you to know, I'm not going to teach you something you haven't done. I'm going to teach you how you've done in the past if you do it again. So that moment in time was triggered by something. Something triggered you to finally change it. I'm wondering if you remember what it was. And something that made it possible to change it. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do right now. I'm going to ask you to sit up in your chair, and whether it's on your computer or your iPad or a piece of paper and pen, I want you to jot down, if you would please, write down at least one breakthrough you've had where you struggled with something for a long time, smoking, drinking, eating, a relationship, a business thing, finance, and then one day you finally hit a threshold and you finally broke through. You had the breakthrough, you got the insight, and you acted on it and changed your life for the better. And here's how I want you to do this. I want you to write down, I'll put it up on the screen for you right now. Here's the steps. I want you to first write down, what was your breakthrough? What's the situation, again, when you spoke for one time, you finally broke through? What was it? And then secondly, what was the moment that made you change it? What triggered you? So maybe write that word. What triggered me? What made changing a must, not a should? It was a should before. I should do this, I should do that, and one day, no more. Like maybe, have you ever done this? How many of you have ever stayed in a relationship way too long? Who's ever done this before? Way too long, right? And why'd you stay? You weren't even happy. Because like being alone might be more scary than being with this person. I'd rather deal with the devil I know than the devil I don't know, right? But you may have come across a day where you'd also say, well, it'll be better in the future. Or it used to be good. You change time zones if the present doesn't feel good. But if you ever had a breakthrough in a relationship, you probably went, you know what? It's been painful in the past, it's painful now, it's going to be painful in the future. I'm out of here. Who's ever finally got out of a relationship because your brain went no more? Who's done this before? Say I. So I want you to write down a breakthrough. It can be personal, it could be your body, it could be a business one. Write down at least one. If you get more than one, if you can get more than one down, great. But then what moment triggered you to finally change it? What was different at that moment?
So he says the important thing for you to maintain is not to become more attached to the gifts than you are the giver. Not to become more attached to the healing than you are the healer. Not to become more attached to the blessing than you are the blesser. Not to become more attached to the things I gave you than the one who gave it to you, because without me, you can do what? Nothing at all. That admission of humility is worship. That is worship right there. That is the prayer life. That's a good way to start your morning. Lord, without you, I can do nothing. I need you to give me wisdom. I'm going to a meeting today. I want you to nudge me when I've said too much. I want you to put a fence around my tongue. I want you to guide me to the most important things to say. And I promise you, Lord, if I give the victory in this meeting, I will give you the praise. For without you, I can do nothing. This is prayer 101. For people who do not know how to pray, is admitting your own limitations, humbling yourself before God, opening up your heart before him and saying, God, I'm ready to hear from you. Now this is Jesus. Remember now, don't forget this. Don't forget this. This is Jesus' summary to his disciples. He's getting ready to leave them physically. And he says, without me, you can do nothing. In the same breath, he said, I'm going away. So what does that mean? I'm to do nothing else? No, I'm going to be with you in the spirit. I won't be with you in the way that I was with you, but I will be with you. And what your job is, you are not supposed to make yourself grow. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make yourself be fruitful. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make yourself be taller. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make yourself be richer. You don't have to do that. He says, all you have to do is abide in me, and my word abide in you, and I got the rest of it covered. Now this is a union that you can't miss up. This is a relationship, the union between stability and fruitfulness. God says, if you be stable, I'll make you fruitful. I've been preaching 43 years. Every year, good years, bad years, big crowds, no crowds, small crowds, lot of appointments, no appointments, didn't make no difference. Big money, no money, don't have any money, can't keep the lights on. I still preach the word with a car, without a car, didn't have a car, pick me up for church, thumb a ride, gotta teach Bible class, gonna teach faith, don't have groceries, gotta be faithful. You can't get to fruitful if you're not faithful. I made it to fruitful, but I made it through being faithful.